And welcome to Unapologetic Geek Out, the UGO podcast. Guys, I am so excited we have the man back himself. Travis,
Hi,
who
I'm the
do
man.
we have?
Oh, I'm the man
today?
this time? Awesome!
You are on this time. Yep. It's like you're the special guest. No.
I felt special for a moment.
No, it's Justin is back, guys. Say hi, Justin.
Hi, Justin.
Yay! It's Justin.
Yay.
That is this Just-in Zarian coming back for
Yes,
the UGO
indeed.
podcast.
It's been a while. I mean, it's funny because there was a point where I'm like, I think Nick and Travis forgot I used to be on this podcast sometimes.
To be honest, I actually forgot, because we were recording news with you for Breakfast Pub on and off.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
we started doing Gotham together. It just felt like, no, I've recorded with Justin just a couple weeks ago. And then I was like, no, wait a minute. He hasn't been on our podcast for like months. I just haven't felt it because I literally recorded with them like almost twice every week.
Right.
Yeah. No, and I figured as much. So I'm just like, hey, that's cool. I mean, you guys have done so much to me. So I remind you guys, I'm just like, hey, you can have me on your podcast whenever. I'm happy to come back whenever you like to. So,
Sure. Well, we brought you back on for Netflix and Kill, and we thought like, well, you know what? While we're doing that, let's bring them on for UGO as well, and we'll get a good old fashioned this just in news segment, just so I can find the old South file and use it. But yeah, how you doing, Justin?
Oh, I'm doing good. I'm getting married in 3 weeks, so that's
right,
impending.
motherfucker. You are now engaged. I don't know if you were on this cast the last time, if that was a thing people knew from last time you were on here. But congratulations, my friend.
No, thank you. My darling Alexis, she's wonderful. She's just very stressed right now because, I mean, the problem with planning the wedding here is that, we're doing it long distance because I'm in Illinois and she's in Utah. Mm-hmm. So I'm not there to immediately help her with everything. I help out as much as I can. I make phone calls, I make reservations, I do everything else we need to, but admittedly, it's hard emotionally to handle that stuff. And I don't blame her for getting a little stressed about it. So.
Sure. Well, that sounds hard. Although, let me focus on the real important part. Did you say her name was Alexa?
Alexis.
Okay, I heard Alexa, so...
we have made that joke already with her, so...
So, just so you know, Justin, that you should never have me meet your fiance/future wife, because that is the first thing I will always be requesting stuff of her. Like, just, no.
Alexis, bring me food. Alexis, what's the weather like?
Alexis, what's the weather like today?
Go fuck yourself.
She's like... Okay, Nick, it's sunny
outside.
Okay,
no, it was the third Lake Placid movie. No, okay. Alexis, how many Lake Placid movies are there?
No one knows the answer to that but you.
I will just be asking her like
knows that answer.
Every random thing. There's 5 of them, by the way.
Yeah, I know.
Well, unless you count the Lake Placid version as the Anaconda. Which I think
I forgot they made that.
So I think that makes it 6.
Ugh.
Anyway, what are we talking about?
That's already 6 too many. Jeez, I freaking hate Lake Placid.
How dare you besmirch the name of Lake Placid?
That movie sucked giant alligator balls.
How dare you besmirch the name of Betty White and Oliver Platt, who was a alligator expert that also believed in Egyptian gods? What was he? He was like a crocodile hunter, but like, I don't know, actually that never made sense to me. Also, there's 2 crocodiles in that small lake. Actually, you know what? Now that I think about it, Lake Placid might not add up logically.
Really?
No.
And the fact that there's literally no tension in the movie at all, and no barely any conflict, because you have to watch Bridget Fonda and what's his name just talk for all that time, just like.
What are you talking about? There's plenty of tension. Think of all the not people that live on that lake. I mean. The stakes of the thing are that if they don't get rid of it, people might just have to not go there.
Terrible.
Yeah. No, one of my ex-girlfriends showed me that movie.
Do you like bad
apparently
movies?
it's a family favorite of one of my ex-girlfriends, and it was just like, I guess so. You guys like it.
Yeah, I'm honestly, I know I do like it, but I honestly can't remember why now.
Because you like awful movies.
Yeah.
I really have a reason, though.
No, I can't think of a good reason why you would like it either. I'm just like, why would Nick enjoy this movie?
I guess it must just be because I see an alligator kill a bear at some point. It must just override everything else in the brain of just like, that was rad.
Yeah. No, but other than that, everything else is going fine. I mean, Oscars are next week, and I know nobody but me and a few other people care, but...
What are you talking about? I love it. They're having the Avengers host. Now everyone cares.
Yeah, or the Muppets, depending on who you ask. So,
Okay, look, if they have the Muppets host, I will fucking watch, okay?
no, that's what I'm saying. Like Avengers, nah, but Muppets, everybody would watch the Muppets host.
I'll watch Fozzie Bear give an award or two.
For best cinematography.
And now for Best Picture nominees, it's Black Panther, and then suddenly it's just Statler and Waldorf. Oh, come on, that monkey shit! Like, oh shit, that's right, they're super racist. Yeah, okay.
Tail screen.
They're from a different time. They're from a different time, guys.
Hey, Statler and Waldorf are not racist.
I mean, we never see them be racist, but they're two old guys that were made in the the 60s to 70s?
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, yeah, I mean, if we got them
Not
going...
all old people are racist.
I'm just saying, if we got them drunk enough, I'm pretty sure some stuff would start to slip out.
Jeez.
Also, I'm pretty sure they yelled at Fozzie Bear for having a human girlfriend in one of the new iterations because they didn't like the race mixing of it.
And apparently, frogs and pigs can date and that kind of stuff, and all kind of. I don't know.
Because that's because that love is beautiful.
No, that love is rape.
Actually, that love is pretty disturbing when you think about it from Kermit's perspective.
Yeah.
It's actually a pretty abusive relationship.
It is awful.
Like,
well, yeah, because I mean, from the first season of the Muppet Show, it's Piggy pretty much stalking him and trying to force him to be romantically involved.
And he's always terrified. The look on his face is complete horror.
Well, look, Piggy's murdered someone. Like, okay, she is the guy from You.
Oh my god, from Netflix's You?
Yep.
Yes, you could do the whole thing with Miss Piggy.
You could. It would be
she
the same
punched out a
thing.
transvestite in one of the Muppet movies just to be able to get with Kermit. So, remember that the Muppets and that crazy drag queen version of her?
What? I totally forgot about the Muppets. That was in the Jason Segel one, right?
Yeah, where you're just like, wait a minute. So, are they implying that this is a transgender or a drag queen person that they're competing against?
I'm not sure what the joke was there, because there was a blink and you miss it joke of it. Like,
well,
look, they're
the whole
like
thing
evil
where
Muppets.
yeah, because Piggy's like, I don't think so.
The only thing I remember from that movie distinctly is Swedish Chef murdering a bunch of vegetables in the refrigerator.
Yep, still terrifying.
With an Al Pacino reference.
Birdie birdie!
Yeah, no, that was still terrifying.
Travis, I heard them scream! No, Nick, that was you. Oh my god!
No, they also screamed.
So Oscars though, but yes. Now that we're having because actually I'll be in Utah visiting Lexi for the weekend, so we'll actually get to be able to watch it live. And I mean, I'm not going to commit to anything because Corey from Double Toasted. If you try to schedule things,
not going to commit to anything, huh? I wonder if Lexus has anything to say about that.
Well, I'm just saying, but I talked to Corey because apparently they're having they're shorthanded with the Oscar party they're planning. So I'm like, well, if you need any help with stuff for Oscar preparation, just give me a shout. So we'll see what happens. So I might be helping out with Double Toasted. That's the point. So that could be cool.
Oh, very cool. Well, yeah, we've been watching movies and TV shows and stuff. We're a little behind on some of our recording stuff. We got conflicting schedules with some people, so we've watched a bunch of stuff now, but we actually
not recorded.
We actually haven't recorded anything, so we got to switch it around and whatnot. But we did watch Alita Battle Angel. Mm-hmm. Or is it Battle Angel Alita? Which way around is it?
Well, it's Alita Battle Angel in here, but the original comic is Battle Angel Alita.
Okay. Yeah, I'm going to forget that.
It's Alita.
So we'll talk about that a little bit later, as well as, I think it might be a cool discussion to talk about James Cameron and Robert Rodriguez combining, since I find their filming styles to be so kind of different but yet similar.
Yeah, how did those two end up working together? Where it's like, oh yeah, James Cameron makes big, elaborate visual effects spectacles, and Robert Rodriguez, who pretty much picks up $1 million and then stretches that thing out to crazy for his.
See, films. I kind of have a theory on that, but we'll save that for later because I found it very interesting. But we'll talk about that in a minute.
So also, okay, I got to ask. So people have heard the story if you're in the Double Toasted or related communities that Tony from the old Spill Days has a cameo in the film, right?
Oh, yeah, you see him. Yeah.
So I actually talked to Tony about this on Facebook because I just sent a message, and out of the blue, he replied to me. I'm like, oh, wow, Tony's actually talking to me. But so is it really just that much a blink and you miss him in the film as it?
No, he's actually, he's not actually, he's a featured, almost like a featured extra. He doesn't get a line.
But he's there.
But he's right behind Mashara Ali. during a scene where they're trying to take out Alita, or like setting up a ambush on her, and you get to see him for a good couple seconds standing behind him, mean mugging the camera.
Oh yeah, that trailer shot where he's just like,
it's not like yeah, it's actually a couple seconds longer, and you go like, yeah, that is Tony. Like you fully get a look at his face, and during a next scene where there's a scene where a group scene where they start laughing, you can hear Tony's laugh in it. Because if anyone's heard Co-Host 3000, he has a very distinctive laugh, and even though there's a bunch of people laughing, you can hear it distinctly in a crowd scene.
That's great. Because that was the thing. I'm like, dude, because I was telling Tony, I'm like, we just need one co-host scream that, oh, like if there was like a fight scene that was happening there, that would have been great. Just
listen closely, and you'll hear a co-host laugh in there. It's pretty amusing.
Oh, that's great. No, but Tony's actually because I actually met him in person too when I went to visit Austin. But super, super nice guy in real life too.
That's what I hear. Yeah. Never met him personally, but I hear he's a nice guy.
Oh yeah, no, I mean, so it's just like, hey, go support Alita, if anything, to see the co-host himself in the scene. So that's cool. Although, from what I hear, it's not doing very well in the box office. I mean,
sounds
no
like
shock,
nothing's doing great in the box office this week.
Yeah.
Well, that seems to be the thing. Like, people are just not wanting to watch movies lately. Like, nobody really wants to go to see. Like, I think Split was the last big major hit because you know what, Lego Movie's underperforming. This movie's underperforming. Sorry, Glass. Yeah. Okay. So. Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like, that's the last, like, major hit this year, because everything else, Liam Neeson's new movie's underperforming for, obviously, social reasons. Stupid reasons.
I mean, that one was kind of a generic, revenge movie to begin with, and then I think he didn't do himself any favors.
Definitely not.
I know, and that's the thing is, like, look, I get it. He badly timed that whole thing where it's like, it bugged him enough that he wanted to talk about it because he felt guilty about it. But then it's like, oh, thank you for being transparent. You're a racist, aren't you? You're just like, but.
No, it's the fact that, like, he didn't, like, see, that's why you run it by a PR person before you make it a thing like that. Because that way the interviewer can ask them questions and get the proper context.
Right, you can do a soft intro.
Yeah, like, because that's what sucks is that interviewer had no idea that was coming. And basically has to hard pivot, like, so,
this is the thing we're talking
was
about
it
now.
fun on set then? Like, that's what I felt worse about was the interviewer, or then again, maybe I felt like, or maybe he was like, oh my god, this is gold.
Yeah. Either way.
Racist gold!
But either way, he is not prepped for that answer.
Right.
Like, he's like,
no, that's true.
What?
Like, all those interviews have, like, here's a list of questions you can ask, and then.
Like, having been in that scenario, that is like that was my nightmare or whatever, is trying to pivot from like, oh, I'm sorry, what? Like, that's why those things are meant to be generic and fluffy, like, is to
avoid exactly that.
I mean, that's why I was shocked when I saw it. I was like, whoa, like, that is, like, you never get answers like that from those press lines. Like, they're never like that. That was weird.
Yeah, so like if I mean I would say that probably it was a bad idea to say the story in the first place, but if he truly felt that bad that he had to tell the story, maybe run it through somebody else before you just drop it in the middle of a random interview.
Yeah,
right.
Sure.
I mean, if I'm a celebrity and I understand that you want to keep you want to keep a level of authenticity and stuff like that, I get that. You don't want to appear like, manufactured or fake. Like, that's a concern that they have. But I mean, they hire publicists and PR people for a reason. It's not like their job is pointless. Like, so, like, I would say that, like, even if you think like, even if it does like bring out a conversation, and in a certain aspect, he is brave for like just saying what he's thinking, but it would have been even better if he had a chance to really like, go with another person, like, okay, but here's how you should say it so that everyone understands the context of it, so it comes off in the best light.
Right.
So,
and that's the thing. It's like, he obviously didn't excuse himself because, like, what he thought back then was horrible. He admitted it, and it is horrible. Nobody's going to deny that.
He didn't. But I think the thing is that he didn't quite understand. Like, he didn't explain the initial problem of it. Of like, he said like, for those of you wondering, it's Liam Neeson had a friend that was raped, what was it, back like 20 decades ago?
Yeah. I want to say, like, it was like 30 something years ago.
Yeah. It was long time ago. And he he asked her like, oh, what did he look like? And she said it was a black guy. And then he said like he wanted to go out and start a fight with a black guy and so that he could have an excuse to like kill them. And he said that was a wrong thing to do, and he said that was wrong, and he's like, but he didn't, I think my main sticking point is like, yeah, but you said that was wrong, but the thing where you fucked up was the initial premise of like, if she had said it was a white guy, would you have gone out to just fight any random white person? Yeah. Like the inherent inaccuracy was in that first part, not in just the wanting to kill somebody part.
Which is wrong, don't do that, but...
Like but that's, I don't know. It's just the thing where it's like, I know people who have been in those kind of, I mean, not exactly the same situations, but that much blind fury like that too. So I'm like,
and then if he had like, and I think even if I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt here, because I don't know what's in his mind. I don't know what's in Liam Neeson's mind.
Which is part of the problem with this whole interview.
Right. So I'll give him the benefit of the doubt and say that's probably what he did think. Like, oh, it was really wrong of me to think of like, just because the guy was black, that I would go out and just fight any random black guy, because that's me holding a whole race responsible for the actions of one person.
Right.
Exactly.
And he never got there, was the problem. And if he was in a proper interview where they knew that was going to come up,
they bring that question
the interviewer could have asked him that and set him up for that and gone like, yes, that's totally, I was wrong. So that's what I mean of like, that's the thing where it comes off like he wasn't, he thought he was prepared to talk about it, but he wasn't, and that interviewer wasn't prepared
for that whole conversation.
No, he wasn't prepared for that. I mean, I get you want to talk about it. You should talk about it and everything, but it's kind of unfair to spring it onto this interview guy in the middle of this thing. But
yeah,
but I get it. Like, so for me, it's like, I mean, I like Liam Neeson. This doesn't like change my overall opinion on him, other than I really wish at this point, I wish he would just go out and make get together with a publicist and just make a new apology, or just take a whole interview on it.
Yeah.
And just like have a whole, like, just sit down with, like a whole 60 minutes or something and just like really hit it and go through with it. Like,
and make it a PSA. Like,
yeah,
make it a whole deal.
I think the problem now is that the internet has pretty much labeled him a racist, to the point where it's like, if he says anything now, it's probably just going to get worse. So I think right now they're just kind of doing let's just hope it goes away and we forget. Or
I mean, he can keep his head down, that's a legitimate strategy, because, internet has a short memory. Like, honestly,
they have a short and long memory, paradoxically.
I mean, the only way he could have avoided this is to take a time machine and go back in time, basically. Right. But
Liam Neeson's next action thriller: stop the racist remarks.
Yeah, and also I gotta imagine, if I'm a producer on that movie, I am so pissed.
Yeah.
Like,
oh yeah.
Well, geez, if you're just someone working on that film,
yeah, one of the other actors, like, come on, man.
So. You had to make this about you, huh? This whole thing about you?
What the hell? Like,
you can live without a paycheck. I'm gonna die.
I know. That poor director, too. It's like, oh, I get to remake my original foreign language film in my English debut. I'm so excited. What do you mean, racism?
Oh, goddamn.
What do you mean, racism?
It's not funny. There's nothing funny about racism.
No.
There's not.
Welcome back to the Unapologetically White podcast. So,
right? Oh, now for the liberal tears segment. Oh, it's back. Anyway, yeah, we watched, it's funny because Happy Death Day came out as well, but we didn't actually watch that one. Happy Death Day 2.
I bought the original Happy Death Day, and I've been curious to check it out, because I'm like, I've always heard it's actually better than people expected it to be.
I really liked the first one. Me and Travis went to go see it, kind of like, even despite ourselves. I was like, yeah, this is one of those horror movies that it looks like an interesting.
It's Blumhouse.
It's Blumhouse. That was before they had a real streak on their hands. And it was like, it's Blumhouse, it's cheap, they have a cool premise, but they probably won't utilize it fully. And we came out of that movie like, Travis, was that movie rad?
That movie was amazing.
Like, yeah, holy shit! So I like, I really liked it. So I'm curious about the sequel. We ended up watching a lot of Groundhog's Day stuff, though.
Yeah.
We watched, When We First Met on Netflix, which is like a romantic comedy version of it. And then Russian Doll on Netflix.
Which was interesting.
Oh, I actually watched the first episode. No, actually first 2 episodes of that, so.
Yeah, that one was pretty good.
Yeah, that one I liked a lot, actually. It's a little slower and a little more, like, it's not as much of a comedy as the trailer says it. It's more of like a slow-paced, metaphysical kind of drama. That's
Yeah, 'cause that's the thing that actually kind of it took me an episode to get into the show, because that first episode is so dour, and the problem is too is that the main character, Natasha Lyonne, one, it's so distracting hearing her talk like a Jewish grandma, but that's just her voice, so you can't help it. But then two is that I feel like the show is trying really hard to, like, I don't know, like, because the character is just such a wreck, and it's such a wreck watching her do her stuff without really facing the challenge of whatever the conflict is. It made it hard to really invest in her story until the second episode, where she becomes much more, like, she acknowledges what's going on to her more, I think.
Yeah, it takes her a long time. It takes her a whole episode to really be active in trying to solve this thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Although, she is at least one of the few characters where, like, she seems to get what situation she's in.
So,
like, pretty
that's
quickly.
That's what made me mad about when we first met with the Adam Levine movie, was that it takes him so long to figure out time travel and, like, just general time travel rules. And you kind of have to accept that in movies like that, they don't have Groundhog's Day or Back to the Future. Like, cause it's like, dude, it's like time travel 101.
Yeah, no, it's like if I came up to you, like, this morning, you got home, like, Nick, I'm in a Groundhog's Day.
Oh, cool. Like, what kind?
I think I have to.
You keep dying?
I think, I get to a certain point and I loop back, so I think I have to make myself a better person.
Okay.
Or do you want to go play the lottery?
Well, I mean, we can just keep trying.
Yeah, let's do that.
Infinite times.
Fuck that. Let's do that instead. Fuck improving myself as a person. Let's play a lottery.
That's what's funny is they did that in Legends of Tomorrow, of like where Ray came out, or someone came up. Ray, Prairie Dog. Prairie Dog Day. What?
What?
You said that to tell you it was Prairie Dog Day and that you would understand what was happening. You mean Groundhog Day. You're in a Groundhog Day. Okay, I know what to do.
Day.
Like, but yeah, that was interesting. Did we watch anything else in particular? Oh, I watched Creep 2.
Oh yeah, I saw that you liked that one.
Yeah, for my mandatory film school I was doing for Junk Food Cinema, which was funny because I actually watched the first Creep movie, and I was thinking about doing it for like a Netflix and Kill since it was on Netflix when I saw it, and I ended up not liking it at all. I thought it was very boring. It did not connect with me in the way that I think it was supposed to. Like it was a darling at Fantastic Fest, I think, and it was like, it's one of those festival movies that I just don't get. And I watched Creep 2 just because I was like, well, I mean, it's on here. I wonder what because the Creep ends with such a definitive, this is the, like, answer for what's going on. Like, oh, okay, so what are they going to go from here? And I ended up liking Creep 2 a lot. Oh. Creep 2 is what I wish Creep was. Like, it's the movie that I wanted.
Wow.
Of where it really commits to the main character being as weird and sinister as he is. And like it flips the script of like there's no questioning of like, is this guy crazy? Like you kind of know, and it lets you delve into him and get a little more interesting than the first one did. In my opinion. It worked a lot better for me though.
Okay.
It's one of those rare ones where I'm like, I don't like the first movie at all, and I think the second movie is actually a really legitimately good movie. Which is
that's very rare. So,
it's very.
That doesn't happen too often.
It does not happen very often. So
well, even if it does happen, have a time where you're like, well, I don't want to watch it because the first one soured me so much.
Right. I mean, like, if anything, you get a pretty good movie, and then the sequel is usually really good, or whatever, like an Empire Strikes Back or a Dark Knight.
Right. Or there's a really good first movie, and the second one's really bad.
Yeah. So like, I thought that was an interesting to find. Like, man, I really like this movie. I thought that was it was shocking to me how much I liked it.
No, and it's funny because I actually met the director at Sundance one year because he came out with that movie, The Overnight, that weird kind of like it's hard to explain, like a swinger rom-com kind of thing. If you guys heard of that one with what's that guy's name from Scott Pilgrim, the main bad guy Gideon?
Oh shit. Damn it,
Schwartzman.
I don't remember his name. I
Jason
know what you're
Schwartzman.
talking about, though.
Jason Schwartzman. Yeah. So, I saw that film, and it was actually a pretty good movie. And this was right before Creep came out, so I was always like, oh, I guess I'll have to check this out. But yeah, so it's interesting to see someone who actually saw Creep, and that kind of such.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, I also just saw this news story that happened right before we get started with the trailers.
Sure.
Man in the High Castle is ending. So, watch that show.
Yeah, I gotta still jump on. Man, I'm so behind on TV.
That's the thing is like Man in the High Castle is a good show. I think it never quite hits being a great show, and its biggest problem is it's so good at world building that it forgets to have a plot. at times.
No.
See, that's the
it's
problem with the amount of peak TV is that I don't really have time for even really, really good shows.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
like just the shows I watch now, like that's why I cut out all the superhero stuff that I'm like, I love superheroes so much, but I'm like, I can't divest enough, all this time into Arrow and stuff when there's
it's mediocre.
when it's taking away time from like Santa Clarita Diet and The Good Place.
Right.
I have to manage time here.
Yeah,
so much I
Santa
can
Clarita
do.
Diet is premiering next month, so.
Yes, I'm so excited.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
That's one of those ones that I feel has gone under the radar, and I'm so happy it seems to have a following.
Yeah, it's somewhere.
Like some people are watching it. It's just like
Good.
because like I find that show to be very hysterical and funny out of nowhere, and I feel like no one's talking about it.
No, it's one of those shows that I'm like, the first season I'm like, all right, I kind of see where you're going, and then like the second season I'm like, oh my god, what are you doing?
Yes, this is very interesting.
Or like the exact opposite is Ozarks. Whereas, like, I love the first season, but it was so tense that we've never actually, like, finished the second season.
See, the problem with Ozarks is by the time we hit second episode, my stomach is in knots.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's kind of like when I used to watch Breaking Bad or The Shield, except I don't have a week in between. It just keeps, I'm like, oh, do I want to watch this right now as I keep going and going? I'm like, I don't think I can.
No, it's literally, it's not a
physically
binge-worthy show.
discomforting.
Like, it's a show you almost cannot binge watch because it's just kind of like, no, I'm good.
Yeah. And also, just on the notes with the Oscars stuff too, I'm hoping to actually watch Bohemian Rhapsody before the Oscars show. I mean, I know it's going to be punishment in some way, but I just got to know. I got to know what I actually think.
I mean, critics seem to hate it, but then audiences seem to love it. I've not
that's
watched
the thing,
it.
is that literally the only people I know who hate it are certain critics, and not even all critics who agreed on that.
Right,
but
and
it's like
I was going to say, even critics are mixed on it.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like I get the feeling that people who intensely hate the movie it's almost the same reason that people love the movie who are just fans of Queen. They either love that it's a Queen biopic and they get to watch more Queen, or they hate it because they're super fanboys of Freddie Mercury, kind of thing, where it's like, it seems like it's meant for both groups, and yet both groups can't agree with what they're trying to get out of the film, So I'm like, okay, I just gotta see for myself. I just gotta see objectively, is the film any good? So.
Well, I mean, hopefully by now the hype of it is so up of like people hating it and stuff, like you get to go in with a more neutral opinion, probably.
That's kind of how I'm feeling, where I'm like, I kind of went ahead and watched little snippets of it because I bought the 4K recently, and I'm just like, okay, I can see why people like it, and I can see why people hate it. So I'm just going to see how much of it adds up to the end result, kind of thing,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So.
Is that all you had for news then, Justin?
I mean, that's it. I mean, we talked about some other news stories, but I don't feel like they're really worth bringing up on the podcast.
Okay, I was disappointed because I didn't have a chance to. You know what? We'll close it out like that. Was this just in with Justin?
Better late than never. Yeah.
It's gotta. We put it in there. It was short but sweet. I liked it. Anyway,
and I
should
guess
we move
the
on?
other thing is that there's a trailer for The Dirt that just came out today. I haven't seen it yet, but the new Motley Crue biopic from Netflix. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it's kind of like a big look at like, that lifestyle of the rock and rollers in the 70s and 80s kind of thing. So
sure.
Check that out, people, when you get a chance.
We just saw the first teaser when we went to the theater for Rocket Man.
Yes.
The Elton John one.
Oh, yeah. No, they just came out with a new video, too, showing Taron Egerton actually singing, because he's not lip-synced in this one. He's actually doing his own singing for the movie.
Dude.
Very nice.
Edgerton, oh man, what's his name?
Taron Egerton.
Taron Egerton. Mm-hmm. He's doing a real good job, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
no,
the
he
trailer
is
seems good.
great.
He's selling it.
It's one of those things that actually, like, I looked at this, like, has this not been done before?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think I know why, because it's doing Elton John. That's a tough one.
True. That's very true.
Like,
Oh yeah, but that's the thing is like I remember hearing him because I don't know if you saw that movie Sing that came out, the what's that, Illumination film?
Mm-hmm. No,
He's one of the main characters. Yeah, the one with the singing animals.
Yeah.
Oh, he was the gorilla or something, right?
Yeah, and he's actually really good singing in that movie too. So I'm like, okay,
Yeah,
this guy's
yeah,
got
yeah.
talent. So yeah, I mean, and hopefully he can do better than Robin Hood. So
Yeah. Well, low bar there. Low bar.
Justin, did you see Robin Hood?
after everything you said, I feel like I dodged a huge arrow with that one. I'm
Dude,
just
you
like,
gotta see it. Like, maybe we'll watch it together or something. Like, we'll
yeah, maybe a bad movie night. We're just like,
bad
okay, I gotta
movie
see
night.
what-
We'll do a commentary for it. I love that fucking awful movie.
Yeah. When I love the fact that, like, even other people have been complaining about the, like, yes, somehow there's an Iraq War analogy throughout this whole thing
Oh.
with
Dude, you can't even believe how blatant it, like, the metaphor is so banged over your head, you come out of the movie with whiplash. Like, it's, my neck hurt. It beat me over the head so hard with it. I was like, "You've got to be fucking kidding me!"
They literally call it an airstrike in that movie.
Yes, they call it an airstrike. How does that work? That is, I'm calling it a airstrike. Like what? I was with 3 other people in that theater, and I was looking around at them both like, "Is this happening? This is crazy."
Well, it sounds like that movie got all the Razzie nominations it deserved, too. So
they're checking doors with fucking longbows, like
don't those things weigh like hundreds of pounds and have huge draw weight? You can't just walk casually around with a longbow like a soldier.
Also, if you're in close quarters like that and you're going through hallways, use your fucking swords.
Yeah.
Why does no one use swords?
Because it's Robin Hood, and we use bows here.
No matter what range you are, it's always a bow and arrow. That is your weapon of choice. It's always bow and arrows, no matter what range it is.
It's Ollie's dream world.
It's Oliver Queen's dream. It's crazy.
But anyways, we have trailers to talk about.
Yes, let's go to the trailer talk. Tom, load up the trailers.
Yo, Tom from Toonami here. You're listening to the UGO podcast. And I hope you all are ready, because Trailer Talk starts now.
Or should I say, Justin load up the trailer since he's got control of the horn over here. What's up first,
I'm
here,
in
my
charge.
man?
I am Tom today. So, sorry, what was it?
What's up first? We are behind on our trailers, so we're going to watch some old ones
You are
here.
very behind. We've been talking about a bunch of trailers on Breakfast Pub, which you should all check out and subscribe to on oneofus.net. It's a great
That's
podcast.
why I think I've been taking it easy on the regular show for trailers.
It feels like we're on Breakfast Pub like every other weekend. So
Well, I was like, oh man, I already watched these trailers. We already talked about these. Like, not on this podcast. Shit, that's right.
Yep. So I think we should start off with the first one, because this one's a little bit older, and this is the one that the internet exploded over. Because...
Yeah, we didn't get a chance to talk about it yet. Travis, have you seen the trailer for Aladdin?
I've seen Genie.
You've seen images.
I've
okay.
seen Genie.
Well, I mean, we finally corrected it. I mean, we couldn't have a black genie. No siree. The internet wouldn't have it. He must be blue, god damn it.
Will Smith's in blueface.
So, he's joining the Blue Man group, Travis. We always knew Will Smith had it in him.
Yeah.
So, without further ado, should we watch this trailer?
Yes, we should. This is the second trailer, which, I mean, they're both, both trailers they've done so far are super freaking short, because I'm sure they're like, you guys know what Aladdin's about. You guys have seen the original movie. But here's the first, the first look at the genie in the second trailer for Aladdin.
Bring me the lamp. Your life begins
Sexy
now.
Jafar.
Aladdin.
Is that Roger, or did they just jack the Idris Elba's Shere Khan?
Oh, here we go.
You really don't know who I am. Genie, wishes, lamb, none of that ringing a bell.
Oh.
Okay, we made a horrible mistake. So. Oh, okay.
Dude,
I don't know what
they
people expected,
superimposed
honestly.
Will Smith's face on a CG body. That looks awful.
I don't know what you guys expected.
Well,
I'm
here's the thing.
I'm struggling right now. I don't want to go, because everyone's had a negative take on this, and I don't really have a different one. It definitively looks bad. Like,
See, the thing is, like they're showing so little of the movie so far. Like, they only show the costume work, the general look and aesthetic of the movie. I think we've heard maybe 2 or 3 lines of dialogue in all 2 of the trailers, and mostly from Will Smith. So I'm like, okay, I have no idea what to think about this movie other than, yeah, the CG genie looks awful. That's about as much as I can get from it.
Well, here's my thing on it. A, I don't know what you guys expected. This is actually exactly what I expected from this. And B, there's always a chance that they're going to go another pass with it.
sure.
Yeah, but I mean, the movie comes out in, I think, May or March. How soon is that one?
It's not the first time I've seen, like, initial rendering in a trailer, and, like, I don't know.
Well, I mean, the exception there, like, for me, was actually the movie you're talking about later, Alita, because the early trailers, the CG looked really rough. But then,
like her
by the
eyes
time the
were
last
even
trailer-
bugger.
Well, that's what happens when you release a trailer 2 years before the movie comes out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They were pumping that movie for so long. But yeah,
Oh, sorry, May 24th is when it comes out. Okay, this movie. So.
sure.
So it's got a little bit of time.
It's got some time left. God, I can't garner any excitement for this movie.
Nope. Because, I mean, that's the thing is that it's literally just the same story. I mean, if it's going to be anything like Beauty and the Beast, which
Well,
I also...
okay. So we talked about this on the Breakfast Pod last time I was on, and
Yeah.
I feel strongly about Disney's ethos for how they make their original content now. They seem to have they don't, like, their live action movies are like, we can't get any of these to work anymore. We're not... And they've gone through phases with this too, like, of just, like, what's working for them and what isn't. And they're struggling with anything live action that doesn't involve a superhero right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So they've kind of decided to go to the safe route of just, like, we're going to go back to our 90s golden era and remake those movies, and we're going to play it completely safe.
Right.
Like Cinderella and Beauty and the Beast.
Basically not change anything about those stories.
I mean, the only one that had radical changes was The Jungle Book, and even then, it's still the basic DNA of the original animated film.
Well, Maleficent
Maleficent.
was different, but everyone hated Maleficent but us.
Because it sucked.
That's what I liked about Maleficent, was that it was so radically different. I'm like, well, at least this is, like, at least I'm not watching the same fucking movie as the short or whatever. Like, it's not, like, there's a hook here. There's something interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, it's just Disney made a rape revenge movie. But
Basically.
You mean you didn't like it with Sholto Copley trying to do a Scottish accent?
okay, look, not everything about the movie works,
Yeah.
all right? You're not going to get me to admit everything on that. Like, I just said I like the fucking thing, all right? It's like,
Okay.
and so yeah, the animated stuff has gone to making fun of Disney tropes and subverting them. Like, you know, we're going to talk about Frozen 2 later, but the original Frozen is all about that. Tangled,
Moana,
Moana, like they're all subverting their Disney tropes, and the live action stuff is reinforcing them.
Yeah, it's basically like, we're gonna tell you the exact same story and nothing's gonna change.
Which would be different if I didn't think that a lot of the movies they're remaking are just perfect by themselves.
But that's the thing, though, is that when they try to remake their lesser movies, we get Pete's Dragon, which apparently was pretty good, but nobody went to go watch it. So
Right, so you don't get the same name recognition, but you're allowed to fix more stuff of an inherently flawed product.
I mean, they could have done something, like, they did nothing with Cinderella, and I feel like there's something you could do there.
I mean, see that, and that's the problem, is that, like, Beauty and the Beast especially, I thought, like, there's nothing wrong with that animated film. You can show
that movie is one of their greatest movies ever.
And we came in,
made.
like, what, 1992?
you can show a child that movie and
Yeah.
they will be enchanted by it. And
You can show a fucking adult that movie and they'll sit there and watch it.
I've gone back and watched it recently. That movie is fucking gorgeous.
Yeah.
It's gorgeous
it's
today.
funny,
No, because
it's
of all the
emotional,
work
it's
they
smart.
put into it.
Yeah.
No, it's Disney at their fucking peak. Like, when their dick was the biggest. Like, just like, like, yeah, we just made Little Mermaid and now we're gonna knock your fucking socks off. Like, you pieces of shit. Like, and it's where Disney got more aggressive and they got more, like, just, like, we're gonna pour money into this and we're gonna hire quality animators and, like, and we're gonna work them to the bone and,
That's the thing, they were hungry because they were coming out of their slump they had in the 80s, and they were like, oh, now we got renewed vigor. We actually found something now.
okay,
Yeah.
guys, we gotta bounce back from Black Cauldron. We gotta figure this out.
Yeah.
Man, we gotta reconnoiter, we gotta reconfigure, we gotta go into the woods.
The zoo.
We gotta go into the woods and practice with the bamboo until we get better at this.
They had to go out onto one of those onto the beach like in Karate Kid to balance and
Yes.
get their flamenco
They had to
pose.
sit under the
Animate
they
at
had
the
to
same
sit
time.
They had to sit under the waterfall and meditate for a little while, and with their brush strokes and get that
Meditate
shit
and
down.
animate.
Well, now it
And-
feels like they're Daniel from the new Cobra Kai series, where they're just kind of lazy. They're kind of like sitting on their laurels, just like, you guys know what we're about, kind of thing.
And I mean, the only problem I have with Aladdin is that, like, yeah, there's, like, some of it in there that's inherently a little racist, but even then, it's nowhere near Disney's most racist movie.
That's the thing.
Oh.
It's like I get okay. It's like, yeah, sure. All the actors are white people in the original Aladdin. It's like, okay, fine. I'm okay with them recasting to get actual people the right.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, but then also it's like, yeah, some of the jokes, it's like, sure, but people have made those kind of cultural jokes and other things, and they're not even egregious jokes. They're just like, oh, Sharia law stuff, where it's like, okay, it's not sensitive, but it's not like inherently saying, oh, Muslims are stupid or something like that,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was like, it's barbaric, or they had to change the language of it or whatever, and it's like, yeah, it's because everyone at that time in that region was Muslim, it's inferred that they're talking about it, and I see what their point is, but still, it's kind of like, I think you might be thinking too hard about this movie. Like, it's a movie it's a movie about friendship overall, like kind of bros before hoes, really. Like, that's the main takeaway from that movie.
Not wrong.
Like, I mean, Aladdin, what? It's a story about a dude who lies his way into a woman's heart, and then when she finds out the lie, she still likes him anyways, so.
Well, no, because he lies because he thinks he's not good enough, and she liked him before.
Right.
Like, that was the thing. It's like, why'd you even bother? That was dumb. You should have wished for stuff that you didn't need to do. I already liked you, idiot.
Yeah, exactly.
Also, I love it. Like, he has a chance, like, hey, I can make you a prince again, and you can be with the love of your life. And fucking Aladdin at the very end there sacrifices what he wants the most for his friend. Mm-hmm. So that and also Genie is offering for his friend for his mortal peace, which must be a blink of an eye to Genie. Who is
it means
immortal.
nothing to him.
And he is offering eternity and servitude to make his friend temporarily happy. Holy shit. Mm-hmm. Anyway, what we're talking about? God, I love Aladdin.
That's the thing. That's like, if they're just going to copy the same beats in this movie, it's like, okay, but I can see a much better and much more entertaining movie about the same exact story,
Right. I don't know. It's just, I don't, their track record for this type of thing is just, it just does not have me excited. But
okay, also taking bets, how much do you think that they're going to make Will Smith rap some of the songs from Aladdin?
Oh, look, okay. I would say that, I would almost say no definitively to that, but also I know Disney's MO, and
I don't trust them.
When they get insecure about some of their properties, they try and make it hip. So, and they're about at that point now where I think they might be insecure enough with how critics have received some of their previous remakes, and yeah, I think they might have Will Smith rap.
Well, because originally the plan was to not have music in this movie, and everyone complained so loudly. It's like, but that's the thing everyone loves about the original movie. They're like, okay, fine, we'll get people who can sing. And it's like, okay, but Will Smith sings like Will Smith, and he raps. So, Robin Williams is not really well known for being a singer, but he could sing. Like, he knew how to sing in that movie.
Well, that song was written for a big bombastic, like, it was almost written for a performance like that.
Right.
It's Broadway. Yeah, it's
a Broadway thing. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's written for a character that's bigger than life, Yeah. Like, and then they cast the perfect person for that role. Like, and
also the fact that the character was written, based on Rob Williams improvising. Like, seriously, he made that character as it was.
Oh, sure.
So.
There's a bunch of audio recordings of just stuff they didn't use. Mm-hmm. Of just like, hey, they just threw Robin Williams in a booth and like, hey, just go, man.
Yeah, just go at
it. We'll take some of the best bits and whenever you don't swear, and we'll edit out the snorting sounds in between too. Allegedly.
Yeah. No, but that's the thing. It's like, so then Will Smith, where he looks like he's pretty much doing, Will Smith does the Genie. Just even from that little bit that we saw there. So.
Yeah. Well, we do have another Disney trailer to talk about.
Speaking of which.
Should we load up our Frozen 2? Now, I liked Frozen. Everyone else in the room?
No. It's fine. I always thought it was fine,
Mm-hmm.
It was overhyped, obviously.
Well, that's the thing. It's like, when I actually saw Frozen, I saw it on the tail end of the hype, because I was like, okay, everyone says how much this is a great movie. And I think that was a problem where it kind of worked against me, where I'm like, I like it, but I don't see why everyone says it's the best animated film they've come out with in years.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, it's pretty cool how it subverts the tropes or whatever, and I think that's what people were real shocked about, was like, oh my goodness, it's like Disney making fun of Disney. Mm-hmm. And then I'm like, yeah, this is cool and everything, but Shrek did this 10 years ago.
Right.
Yeah. And also the fact is that they subvert the tropes only for the guy and the girl to get together in the end anyways. So.
Right, but the other guy and the girl, not the one that they met in Love at First Sight,
Well, yeah, but then how much longer did Kristoff know Anna before they got together?
I know, and it's a case of Disney being is like, oh, look how progressive Disney is being while still being 10 years behind the times.
Yeah.
And it's funny how I don't know. Like it took them. Like, it's like how big of a deal. Like their first black princess, Princess and the Frog, which was like into the almost 2010s. Was it 2009? That movie?
Yeah, 2009. Yeah,
2009. And it's like, hey, this is our first black character, and a Big Mac character. And there's always a problem in that of like there's always an inherent.
It's good that you're here.
It's good. It's kind of weird that it took this long.
Yeah.
Like, but okay.
Yeah, well, I mean, they had the first Pacific Islander princess just recently, so.
Yeah, that was cool. I actually like Moana a lot more than Frozen too.
Because Moana, I agree. Because I think Moana's the movie that people should have been praising more. Because I'm like, yeah, Frozen's fine, but Moana did.
Well,
almost
Moana
everything
doesn't even
right.
have a love interest in it. No. Like that's what I found really cool about. I couldn't even like, man, can I name another Disney movie that has a main character that doesn't have a love interest in it?
Well, but that's the thing I like about it too is that she does have a love interest, but they don't need to emphasize that she doesn't have a love interest. You know, it's like, oh well, look, I'm so progressive because I don't need a man to tie me down.
Yeah,
It's like,
I
no,
didn't even notice it until halfway through the movie, and I was like, whoa, oh man, I can't believe this because it was just so like. Because it's just something I'm so used to Disney movies.
Right. Like, it's a hero's journey with a female that just, she happens to be female. That's not like, it wasn't like, nope, she's going to find a man.
Oh man!
Also, I don't give a shit. I don't shit if The Rock's a good singer or not. Like that song of his is actually really cool.
Well, that's again the thing. They wrote a song kind of like with Robin Williams, where it's like it's based on him with his range.
Right.
It's like,
yeah. And I'm like, yeah,
that just shows a good composer.
Well, yeah, because they can even make a guy who's not really a singer, but The Rock has presence and personality, and they wrote it for him, and it's like that. That's good casting, good composing. Good animation. It's Disney at its peak again. Animation.
Disney taking everything it knows how to do and doing it well.
Yeah, like for me, Moana, Frozen, and Tangled are kind of like, woo, we got another Disney Renaissance kind of going here.
Yeah, I mean, Tangled I also felt was kind of fine. Where I'm like, I liked it, just wasn't blown away by it, kind of thing. But now I'm curious about because they got the sequel now for Frozen, which they've been hyping for so long, and I feel like we're at a point where people are starting to get kind of sick of Frozen, where it's like, yeah, people didn't like the short film they did in front of Coco because it was 20 freaking minutes
Oh god,
long.
that sucked so much.
Well, also the comedians kept doing the whole Let It Go reference 6 months after it got old.
Yeah, and then also, like they just did the Let It Go thing in Kingdom Hearts, they just, they did the stage musical for Frozen. It's like, I think we're getting a saturation point, and this movie's not really timed well to counter the saturation point problem.
No song is good enough to where if you listen to it on repeat, you won't start to hate it. Like
you pick your favorite song and you're gonna start hating it after a while.
Yeah, if you just can't escape it, you will learn to resent it.
Which is why Christmas music is actual torture.
Well, that's the thing too. It's like, you know, I always liked Let It Go, but I always felt my favorite songs were some of the lesser songs, like Olaf's song that he did, where I'm like, that's a cute song.
Oh, the summer song? Yeah, I like that one. My personal favorite is Do You Want to Build a Snowman?
Yeah, that one's fun.
I love the, the Honest Trailer version of that, where it's like, do you want some exposition? Some information through a song. But anyways, we got the trailer here, so shall we watch it?
Let's do it.
All right, time for Frozen 2, starting now.
Frozen 2, The Redemption.
The Reckoning.
The Reckoning!
Based on the tone I've seen for this trailer, that may not be too far off.
Oh my god, is King Triton gonna pop up? She's gonna fight him?
Yeah, either it's setting up for an Aquaman trailer or for like a Game of Thrones music to play in the background.
Unfrozen water. I can't have this.
No, she's gonna go fight the person who killed her parents. Ursula,
Die, ocean!
Ursula or King Triton, I'm not sure which.
Dude!
Okay, she's just fighting
That's
a tidal wave.
awesome! She's learning how to be Iceman!
Yeah, between Frozen 1 and 2, she went to the Xavier School for Gifted Children, so...
She's fighting global warming, one wave at a time.
Psychedelic. Everybody's jumping!
much more action adventure than the first one.
Yeah. No, as I'm saying, it feels like there should be like some like epic music from like Game of Thrones or some other fantasy show. Oh, but it's not over yet.
Shit.
So that's Brave 2 for you, everybody.
I'm sorry I was watching the trailer. You don't have to swipe a sword at me, you dick.
Who are these people watching us?
Fuck you.
So also you notice too, keeping up with the idea, like you're saying with the progressive tones, no skirts. Everyone's wearing pants in this. So.
Yay, pants.
Well, I love that.
Wait. Justin, it's not progressive yet. Do they have pockets?
Do they have pockets? Hey, let's not get crazy.
You're right.
One step at a time.
It's gonna take 10 more years for pockets.
10 more years for pockets.
Real pants don't have pockets yet.
I did like how that, like, she even from the start was like, yeah, I gotta ditch the skirt if I'm gonna do this training montage.
Right? Fuck this.
Like, also, I'm not sure why these three are like these warriors, considering she's a ruler, she's a queen at this point. Like, if they're, like, I mean, then again, I do like the fact that she's basically an X-Man.
Yeah.
Also, are there other elementals in this trailer?
Possibly.
Well, it looks like they're like going to like, I mean, because like when you think Frozen, you think giant forest full of sun and dirt and no snow whatsoever.
I think I saw someone controlling wind.
Yeah, or like leaves.
Yeah.
Well, or at least they're getting attacked by somebody who's got wind powers. So
Yeah. So, very cool. Obviously, just a teaser, but it actually has me excited because that's a very different type of movie than even the first one.
Well, they almost had to. Like,
sure. But, like, an action-adventure one is kind of fun. Although, Anna swinging that sword was like, hey, what the hell?
Where'd you learn how to do that? What?
I mean, I get Elsa learning how to use her freeze powers or whatever, but did you, like, I also want to have the power to kill.
Yeah.
Yeah, also it's like, so why is Kristoff there if he's not the one defending people? It's like, just go stay at home, dude.
He's there to wrangle the reindeer.
He's their Beastmaster.
Yeah, he's the he's the ranger.
Beastmaster.
You got a mage, you got a warrior, you gotta have a ranger. It's just perfect sense. It's team composition, Justin. What don't you understand?
Yeah, they want to balance their D&D party.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Frozens and Dragons, so.
They can't have the wizard do everything. They wanna exchange the experience equally.
I'm actually starting to get into D&D because my fiance is a humongous D&D head, so I understand that now.
Oh, cool.
D&D is so much fun.
Anyway, I like this trailer.
Yeah, it's really well designed, it's well animated. I don't know what the plot is about, but whatever.
Well, I mean, as far as the animation goes, Disney's had that down pat. They've never made an ugly movie, basically,
right.
Or at least not in the last 30 years. So, yeah, I mean, I can only hope that they really explore with the premise and kind of go with the whole new characters. I heard a rumor that this might be the one where Elsa gets a girlfriend, but I'll believe that when I see it.
Yeah, who knows?
That'd be awesome.
I mean, it would be cool, but like, I don't know if Disney's there yet.
No.
So now what's interesting too is that I looked it up. So it's the same main director from the last movie, Jennifer Lee, who's directing it. But the other guy who joined in is Chris Buck, who directed Surf's Up, Tarzan, Pocahontas, and a bunch of other stuff. So.
Okay. I don't care for Pocahontas, but Tarzan's a really good movie.
He was the animator on that, but no, he was the director of Tarzan for sure. So.
Oh, he's the director of Tarzan. Okay, cool. Because I actually really like
director of Tarzan and animator for Pocahontas. I'll take that.
Oh yeah, well the animation's great. I mean, the animation's not what's wrong with that movie.
No, but that's the thing. It's like, okay, you can see kind of where some of the more dramatic elements are coming in because of Chris Buck, it feels like. Because Jennifer Lee, I want to say she was the only director in the last movie, so.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's always beautiful in Pocahontas. Well, see how I glitter.
Oh, you know what? No, he was on that too. Never mind.
All right, I'm going back and forth on this.
Sorry, I'm just trying to pull up this information.
A lot of mixed emotions.
Yeah, I'm pulling up this information as we're talking, so.
I want to know, Justin, can you show me?
There's something familiar about these trailers like me.
That was amazing. We're best friends. We're best friends for life.
Did we just become best friends? Yeah.
Yep. Come on, that song's a jam. That's a straight up jam. No one didn't come out of Tarzan humming that fucking song.
Dude, I mean, Tarzan is one of those movies where it's like, why is this not celebrated more? Because, like, yeah, it's got a very generic plot at the end, but it's a great freaking movie.
It's pretty
Because
good.
it kind of came after where Disney was kind of waiting, because it was like Hercules, and like, these weren't
Mulan,
Mulan's
yeah.
okay, it's not great. Like, and then like Tarzan was like, oh shit, this one's great, this one's awesome. But kind of like, it kind of like paid for the sins of its predecessors a little bit.
Yeah.
At least in my opinion.
And also everyone was pissed. It's like, how come South Park didn't win Best Song that year at the Oscars and Tarzan won?
In my opinion, they're both pretty great songs, but I swear
I
to
agree.
God, that one was stuck in my head like the whole week after I saw that movie. But yeah, that was the trailer talk, guys. Thanks for controlling them over there on your end, Justin.
Yeah, we got a lot more mileage out of this than I thought we would. So-
I know. I thought they would take like, yeah, we'll only talk about these for a couple minutes, but like, yeah, we actually got a lot of conversation out of that.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
But anyway, we can move on to the main topic for now, which was just quick thoughts on Alita Battle Angel, which me and Travis saw yesterday. It was interesting. A combination between I believe it was Robert Rodriguez directing and James Cameron executive producing. Is that
so?
Or
Well,
just
James Cameron
produced?
also wrote the script for it, so.
He also wrote the script. Okay, yeah. So yeah, a collaborative effort on their part. Very interesting. James Cameron, known for movies like Aliens, Terminator, or Terminator 2 Judgment Day specifically, Titanic, Avatar, big sweeping visual, like, bombastic
Water.
blockbusters, And then
Yeah.
Robert Rodriguez is more of the down dirty, El Mariachi, Desperado,
Spy Kids.
Spy Kids, so I really thought like, oh, it's really interesting having these two together to make a project. But then I was thinking about it, and it kind of sort of started to make sense to me, because what they both have in common is a simple story structure that is serviced by big or specific visuals.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah. Like Rodriguez doesn't have the money that Cameron has, but he has style and lighting and a lot of like creative flair to it.
Right, he has an artistic style.
Yeah, like, and the thing you can do with any of their movies is you can describe the plot
In 3 words.
Like, oh yeah, in a very short amount of time, and that's a double-edged sword sometimes. In Avatar, it's kind of a weakness of like how thin the story is.
Well,
but
it's the problem is if Avatar was not nearly 3 hours long, it probably would have been better. Because it's like, yeah, maybe 2 hours at most. That would have helped the story.
Well, the thing is that you can go watch Avatar with Robin Williams in it instead, because it's Fern Gully.
well, and then some of that stuff is actually it actually benefits, like keeping Terminator 2's time travel very simple. Like it's time travel is very complicated. But James Cameron's like, they're back. There's no more time travel. They're just here, and now it's a chase. Like it keeps.
Well, the way I figured it is that whenever someone time travels, that destroys the future as it is, no matter what. Like it's almost
right.
like
They're in an alternate reality. Like
yeah.
and so that's like they like to keep their stories simple so that they can do more visually and tell the story in a more visual way. And they both like actors. They both like working with very interesting and most of the time
That's not to
very
say all their actors are good actors, but they like working with
no,
actors.
but they have an interesting eye for people they like and people they want to use.
Yeah. Well,
And
the
I
next
saw-
thing is like Avatar is like, I wouldn't say anyone in there was great except for Zoe Saldana, but they managed to get a distinct cast of characters in the movie.
Right.
Even though I don't feel like the acting is very great in Avatar, I feel like I remember who plays everybody.
Yeah.
I remember everyone's character.
No, like they're very distinct. There's not a lot of them, but they are distinct.
I mean,
Well,
to
like,
be
even
honest,
like Stephen Lang, he's the most generic villain possible, but you remember him
dude,
because he's freaking
that's
Stephen
because
Lang.
Stephen, like, whoever casted Stephen Lang in that part was genius, because written, that character is uninteresting. But when Stephen Lang delivers lines like, and they will eat your ass for jujubes, kind of like, you know what, Stephen Lang? I don't even know what that means, but I'm down with it.
But you said it.
But you said it, dude, and you said it with conviction.
Like, you knew what you were saying. We don't know what you're saying, but you
I don't know what you're saying, but you feel like you do. And, yeah, so I thought this was an interesting movie, but most of the time with both of their movies, Robert Rodriguez and James Cameron, for the movies that I don't like with them, like say Avatar, or in Robert Rodriguez's case,
most of the Spy Kids movies.
Spy Kids movies, or I'm not a fan of the sequel to Desperado. Once Upon a Time in Mexico.
Sin City.
So my main complaint with most of those is that there's actually not enough in the story going on to
They're a little too simplistic.
to justify the length that they go.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
especially with Avatar, like, it's like, man, could you beef up some of these characters a little bit so that we can hang with, I feel like I'm hanging out with them more and not just waiting for stuff to happen to them.
Well, yeah, because I
And-
think I had the problem with Sin City 2, where Sin City 1 is actually, there's just enough story in there to keep your attention, but Sin City 2, because they made up a bunch of new stories, they're just not very interesting compared to everything else that we had beforehand.
That's the secret genius of that first Sin City movie, is that those characters are just interesting enough for their short segment, and then they're gone. Like,
Yeah.
and they do leave you wanting more, but you don't realize that's kind of a good feeling.
Right. Like, if you got more, you probably would realize, oh, I didn't actually want that at all.
Well, by the time you hit the sequel, you already go like, oh, I already knew everything interesting about Marv, don't I? I don't need to see him kill more people.
Yeah,
Like,
seriously. And then they recast, what's his name, Clive Owen with Josh Brolin. It's like, that still doesn't make it any more interesting that he's a new actor now. So.
right. So yeah. So lo and behold, we have Alita Battle Angel, and I'll say right off the bat, I enjoyed the movie.
yeah, no, it was fairly enjoyable to watch.
Yeah, but I was surprised at the problem I had with it was that there's actually too much going on in the story.
This movie is a solid 2 movies in and of itself.
Well, because from what I heard, so people who don't know, this is based on the anime and the manga that was originally made. So this is essentially the first 2 issues or volumes of the manga, correct?
Well, that's what I gleaned from it. I've not read or watched the anime either, but that's how I understand it, is that it's 2 distinct arcs combined together. 1, the Hunter Killer arc, and 2, the Battle Ball arc.
Yeah, because the Battle Ball that's an entirely different part of the story that they just kind of crammed into this one, from what I heard.
And when you're watching it, even though I didn't know it at the time, I very much felt that. I was like, what is going and so we'll try and avoid as many spoilers as possible for as far as the main things. I just want to talk about general story structure and stuff, but there's gonna be light spoilers for some of the plot stuff that happens if you're squeamish about spoilers or whatever. So the hunter killer part, like where Alita wakes up and then learns about Christoph Waltz's doctor character and then gets involved in the hunter killer world. Suddenly we take a break from the hunter killer part to get introduced to Battle Ball.
Right.
And only for the Battle Ball part to later get interrupted by the hunter killer part again.
And, like, as soon as it shows up, you're kind of like, either this movie's even longer than I thought it was going to be, or one of these 2 parts is going to be ignored.
Yeah, and
Well, it feels like the Battle Bar was James Cameron going, I really, really, really want to do that.
So-
That's pretty much the only reason I'm doing it.
and that I don't know that for sure, but that's sure what it feels like. Because the Battle Ball sequences are the most visually interesting in this movie, but they are the most narratively unnecessary.
Yeah.
Which sucks, because it's like they're the coolest part of the movie, but yet they're kind of what's dragging this movie down.
Right, it's just unnecessary padding.
So are they
because
the
it doesn't-
pod race of this movie, essentially? Where it's like, I don't know why we did that, but it was kind of cool to watch while it happened.
Well, no, because even the pod race is just a visual kind of cool, but there's interesting stuff about the Battle Ball that could be done in a sequel.
Right.
Okay, so here's my thing. So the hunter killer part, she becomes a hunter killer in the movie. And then she proceeds to not have any time to do any bounty hunting.
Right.
She goes right to the Battle Ball. So her becoming a hunter killer doesn't have the emotional weight that it should have, because she's not a hunter killer for long enough to us to really feel that. And same thing for her being a Battle Ball player. So for this movie, it really should have just nixed the Battle Ball stuff and just focused on the hunter killer part, and really just her in this violent world trying to figure this stuff out. And the story of, the war that happened previously, the floating city and the undercity. There's a lot of stuff to play with here without the Battle Ball
There's
stuff.
such an interesting world built up.
And in the sequel, because in this movie she knows how to fight immediately. She wakes up knowing how to fight.
Right.
The only limitation is that she doesn't have the right body right away. And
So
even
basically she's Jason Bourne.
yeah. So, and that's my thing, is that, okay, so in this movie she would know how to fight, and in the sequel you could introduce her to Battle Ball.
Right.
And then Battle Ball would be a thing that she's not programmed to know how to do. So she's good at fighting, but she'd have to learn a new skill set in order to be a battle ball. A training montage, if you will. Fucking Empire Strikes Back. And I know I'm explaining Empire Strikes Back again, but don't break it why break what's not fit? Like, why,
There's a reason the Empire Strikes Back is considered the best Star Wars movie.
Right, and that's okay, so our character is the best fighter. There's nothing that can challenge her. Okay, so we throw her into a new scenario that she doesn't have experience with and has to learn something new. Like, it's kind of like, it's weird because it's like, man, this is kind of storytelling 101. And I don't understand why James Cameron and Robert Rodriguez, who are notorious for keeping their stories super simple, didn't do that.
Well, that might
I
also
think
be
the
an
reason
issue
is
too.
that this has been James Cameron's passion project for at least 2 decades, and he loves this comic, like hardcore.
Yes, he loves it, and I understand that. I also think that might be kind of okay. So, in my opinion, this is the best interpretation of an anime from a Western perspective that I think I've seen.
That's what I've been hearing. Like, even people complaining about it, they're like, yeah, even with its faults, it's still the best anime adaptation.
The movie is really good. It is fun to watch. It just, I wish it was better.
The most disappointing thing about it is that if I couldn't see the better movie in there, I wouldn't be as like, oh man, like, and it's weird because like I can't unsee like where
you would cut it.
Well, the problem is like it's because it's so obviously 2 movies smushed together and duct taped together that they don't even it's not seamless. It like the other movie starts and you're like, and then this one starts and it feels weird. It messes with the pacing. The movie's 2.5 hours, so if they cut the battle ball stuff, it would be even shorter and it would make more sense. And we could keep the emotions very simple and like. There's a lot people have to go through in a very quick amount of time because this movie is 2.5 hours long, but a lot of the stuff in the character up department felt like we needed to get through it really fast.
Right. And
well, here's the thing.
Slight spoilers here.
Who do you think is to blame for this? Is it Robert Rodriguez's fault or James Cameron's fault as the writer, along with Robert Rodriguez?
Both.
Well, okay. So again, I don't know because I was not on set when they made this movie. But if I were to speculate and I had to theorize what happened. James Cameron's the one that wrote the adaptation of the script. He's the one that is super in love with the comic. I think Robert Rodriguez is a fan too, but I know James Cameron is super loves it. So, what I think James Cameron did, I think he didn't have enough confidence in the hunter-killer arc of it. I think he liked the aspect of the battle ball and wanted to get that in there as soon as possible because he thought that would be a big hit with audiences.
Which, understandable.
Right. And I get that thinking from a marketing perspective and I get it from a visual perspective. And the hunter-killer arc is a little generic post-apocalyptic. I get that. I get why he would make the decision like that.
Yeah, but this world has an interesting history that we don't get to learn much of. And I feel like it is interesting enough that it could have probably been stretched out.
My main problem is by the time they have the second battle ball thing, I realized I don't know the rules to battle ball.
Yeah.
They never explain the rules to battle ball. If there are any.
Yeah.
I'm not even sure if there are rules.
I mean, it's essentially rollerball from what it looks like, right?
Right. And so I kind of assumed that was happening, but there is a ball and you have to go and you score it in a hoop, but literally in the second bout, no one even does that. It just becomes a murder thing out of nowhere.
And they even mentioned like, oh, I guess we're breaking the rules this Monday night. And we're like, yeah, you don't seem concerned by that. Also, I don't know the rules.
Yeah. Well, because from what I've heard too is that this is a fairly like, I guess they're not violent, they're very intense PG-13, right?
No,
Okay,
this is breaking the bar.
So this was another thing that I was very disturbed by. It was like, okay, so it's PG-13, and most of the movie does feel like a PG-13 story. Like, it feels like that's the tone it's going for, but every time violence breaks out, the violence is very graphic and jarring.
She cuts off a guy's face.
She cuts a guy's face in half. And just because it's a robot face, I guess it's okay, but literally...
Well, that's the thing is, like, you can do anything to robots, because, you know, that's how Samurai Jack
not
got
robots.
them.
They're cyborgs.
Okay, so here's my thing. In the movie, they mention multiple times that there's no AIs. No one's a complete robot. Everyone that's a robot person started off as a human, and they at least have a human brain in there, along with some other organs maybe. So everyone that is a robot or whatever that are getting killed are people.
Right.
Like, and they state that multiple times and show us the brains inside of these people. So they get murdered on the track, and you're like, what? Alita decapitates one of them, and you see blue blood come out of its nose. And there's no difference between blue blood and red blood, because the blue blood is just what goes into the robots to feed their human brains. So they just made it blue to change the color on it so it doesn't look quite like blood. Right. But it is still, in every sense, blood. Blood. It's not oil. It's not lubricant. It's blood shoving oxygen to their human brain. So that is what's spilling out of them every time Alita cuts off their heads.
Wow.
And it's like, and so I couldn't disconnect it because the movie went out of its way to like, no, these are people. All these people are people. We want to make sure that is concrete. I'm like, okay, I believe you. Good. Okay. They're all full people. I got you. And then they proceed to murder all those people in very violent ways.
Yeah, no, it felt very similar to Venom where I'm like, this is PG-13, right? Because you are like murdering people on screen.
Venom literally bites off 2 people's heads at one point. Like,
this is very similar.
And it's like only kind of obscured. Like it's like, yeah, I kind of saw almost all of that.
Yeah, the only thing I didn't see was blood, but I saw chunks of brain coming out from that person's head in that
Also,
scene.
I heard a pretty disturbing crunch, so I don't know how I feel about that. So this was the only one where I'm like, yeah, I don't know if you could bring small children to this because
it shouldn't.
Well, the one part where you said where they cut off half a guy's face and his face moves around and we see half his tongue
and he's screaming, "Oh my god, my face, my face!"
And it would be like it's a robot, but these robots were made to look very much like people. So they're
I get the feeling this is made for adult fans more than anybody.
Right. So his jaw structure and tongue and everything is shaped like a human. Like, it looks very human. So it looks really like she just cut a human's face in half, and now that human is in agony. Because guess what? They all have pain receptors for some reason. Why?
It's a survival instinct.
I mean, sure, but it seems like it only hinders them.
I mean, if you don't know that certain parts are missing off your body, that might be a problem, to be fair, but...
I mean, I guess. Maybe they can dull the pain of it or something, because it does seem like some of them can really go through without like losing an arm, and it's like, oh, that sucks. And some of them get real hurt. Like, I don't know. It felt weird. But, who's Alita being played by again?
Rosa Salazar is her name.
Rosa Salazar. She does a great job. I really liked her in it.
Yeah, no, I've heard people really like her. I mean, because it's obviously not an easy performance because they pretty much motion capture her the entire time in the movie.
Right.
So.
Sure. I still don't get why her eyes are bigger than everybody else's. Considering, well, it's weird because we see other cyborgs and none of their eyes are big.
They kind of do give a reason though.
Do they?
Well, I mean, it's probably from where she's from.
Oh, right. That's her backstory. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, no, maybe
that's why you see only one other character in the movie that has similar eyes.
Okay. Maybe that's
fair enough.
So, that's a spoiler thing, but
so she's good, but then, so is most of the supporting cast pretty good too? Because, I mean, other than the Oscar-winning performance by Tony Guerrero, but...
what's his name that plays Ajax in Deadpool? Gives a performance as this...
Green?
Yeah, he plays a skeevy bounty hunter. Loved him.
Yeah, he was pretty good.
Man, I loved him. He was great.
No, I think all the actors were pretty good in this.
Well, I will say they had great actors. They really underused Mahershala Ali.
Yeah.
Half the time he isn't even talking in his own voice. He's being another character. Another actor is going through him as a telephone, basically.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So he even in the screen time he has, they basically cut that in half because half of it isn't even his traditional performance. It's him being someone else.
Okay, I did not know that. That's crazy.
Yeah, and it's like, oh man, that sucks because you think of about Mahershala Ali as the crime boss of this undercity, and you're like, oh yeah, okay, Cottonmouth 2.0, I like it. And yeah, he's so barely in it. I don't know. I was kind of disappointed that he wasn't in it more.
Like you barely get to hear him laugh.
But I must know, how was Christoph Waltz in his performance in this movie?
His diction was perfect, like always. I'll tell you what, I liked it. Some of the stuff where I mentioned the emotional stuff was rushed, that's where it lies.
Yeah.
Of like, I like that when Alita wakes up, she has this, what I thought was like, man, that's a beautiful body. How do they have just a body there for her?
It's got like filigree on it.
Yeah, and it looks gorgeous. I'm like, why do they have that just laying around? I thought that would be just the thing they don't explain, and they go into it with Christoph Waltz's backstory. and like he used to have a daughter of his own that she was going to become a cyborg, and like that's why he has a spare body around. Her name was Alita, like that's the whole thing. And like some of that is pretty good stuff. It just goes so fast that it feels a little forced. Of like the father-daughter thing between them does sell, but at a point where she calls him dad at the end, I felt kind of like, I feel like you were almost there.
Right. Like it hadn't effectively sold you yet, but you still felt like there's the inklings of it, kind of thing.
Like, yeah, it was almost enough for them to sell the moment of her calling him dad, but it wasn't quite there, so it fell just short. And I felt like that's kind of like horseshoes and hand grenades for me of like, you missed it by this much, so I gotta technically disqualify you. You were pretty you did put the effort in. You were close though.
Well, that's what it was. Okay, so Gruishka or whatever.
Yeah.
Jackie Earle Haley's
cyborg. I was trying to like, where have I seen that actor before? Yeah, it's Rorschach.
Yeah, it's Jackie Earle Haley. So,
yes,
yeah.
That's who it is.
Yeah.
Man, I can't believe I didn't realize.
I know,
that.
and I was just like, I had to look at your filmography. I'm like, I have to know. Why do I've seen you from something?
Also, Christoph Waltz. There's one thing that like some of the stuff they kept to just be accurate to the comics, like the big eyes, and the big eyes are a little distracting. Like every once in a while, I forget that they're there, and then suddenly there'll be a close up, and I go, "Holy shit!" God. But like they're overall like they're not that obtrusive. Where I do feel is like they have Christoph Waltz's weapon of choice is this giant rocket hammer that looks utterly ridiculous.
Like honestly, if you've played Bloodborne, you've used this weapon.
It's twice the size of him, and it would be different if they showed him effectively using it, but every time he uses it, they show how an impractical of a weapon it is.
Yeah.
Well, and then
But
also
it's
his last name
his
is
size.
Eno, which is like, so they couldn't give him a German last name or an Austrian last name?
Well, I mean, that's another thing they want to keep from the comics, too. Like, they want to keep the names pretty similar, but then again,
Why not
that
call him
means...
like Dr. Aldo or something like that? Something that's not clearly Japanese.
Right. Well, they mentioned that the city is the last remaining city on Earth, so any survivors that were from anywhere all coalesced here. That's why there's... everyone, there's like German refugees, Hispanic, like, there's a whole Asian section, like there's just, it's like like, not just Chinatown and Little Italy, but like everybody has a little town section, like, so I thought that was an interesting way to go with it, but like, yeah, every time they call, Christoph Waltz, like, Dr. Ito, and I'm like, okay. It's just, and I'm like, I don't know what you do with that, like, change his name or something, but, like, it is... Also, I love that they call them hunter killers, which is like, way to go, Japan, giving two names for things that mean the same thing. Just so we can take longer.
I guess a killer doesn't have to hunt, per se, but...
Right. But, like, it's like, what should we call our bounty hunters? Hunter killers. I'm like...
I'm sure that's from the translation of the Japanese word, so...
Also, I feel like they sell the Pinocchio level of Alita a lot. But
well, I mean, a lot of that I'm sure comes from the thing with Hugo, Keenan Johnson's character, or Keenan Johnson's. Like, yeah. How does that work?
Well, I mean, she is stuck in a teenager's body for sure, because she's stuck in all she wants to do. The minute she wakes up, all she wants to do is eat, fight, and fuck. Yeah. Like, that is her modus operandi. And, of course she has plot amnesia. But like, that's her character, is like this basically a teenager's id sort of thing. And, the Hugo thing is just like, from the minute she sees him, it's basically like, oh, this is what sexual attraction is. That's cool. And she's just enjoying experiences, like tasting food for the first time. So this is the first time she's felt an attraction to a boy. So you're like, ooh, I'm gonna go chase this, because this also seems neat. And it's cool because he is always the the one that is, he's not really intimidated by her at all. Like he likes her a lot. Which is very interesting with a turn that his character takes. Right. That interest might not have been so noble.
Not at first, at least.
And not at first. Which I thought was a dark take that I really wish they would explore more.
It's one of those things that's like, well, we gotta wrap up this movie, so let's...
I did like it though.
Yeah.
I thought it was like...
It's a good story point.
It was an interesting zig instead of a zag. But yeah, they're cute together. Again, it is fast, but not overly so. Like, you kind of wish they had a little more time to breathe, that sort of thing, especially for where that relationship ends up at the end.
Right.
For it to really emotionally pay off, excuse me, in the way that they want, they needed a little more with them. But again with this movie, it's not like anything is super bad. It's just everything needs just a little bit more, a little nudge here and there.
Yeah, it just feels like you could have easily fit, a whole nother movie in here.
It sounds like the problem was they were scared that they couldn't franchise this, which it sounds like they won't based on the box office, unless it's a huge hit in foreign markets. But, it feels like they really wanted to just okay, this may be our only chance to get a good movie out there or get a whole movie out. So we're just going to cram as much as we can into this one film.
I don't really see this doing very well in foreign markets, though, to be honest.
I get, it's a confusing.
I mean, we've seen movies like this perform well in China, where they love big spectacle action movies. Like Bumblebee is getting a sequel mostly because of its performance in China.
True.
So.
Right. And, it's robots. People like robots.
Yeah.
Like that's, internationally it could work to its favor, but it's also post-apocalyptic. The narrative's pretty confusing. If you're not really paying close attention, you gotta really I could keep up with it, but you gotta really since it moves at such a breakneck pace, you kind of have to really keep up with what they're throwing at you. It's not, they don't go ever a 10 to 15 minutes without throwing a new concept at you.
Right.
And it does become a lot to absorb after a while.
Now, the only other person I wanted to ask about in the cast was Jennifer Connelly. So is she probably just there, or?
She's there for such a long time. She's just on screen. And it's she's not really doing anything. Up until later in the movie, she has a turn that just when you think her character's about to get interesting, and then she exits the movie and never comes back. And you're damn it!
That's
Shit!
what I figured. Just based on the trailer, I'm they show her so little in it. I'm just I'm sure she's probably just there to be gone. Kind of thing.
Yeah.
And now I know I won't say what, but there's one other actor they're not advertising at all in the movie, and it's a huge spoiler to reveal who it is. So I won't say nothing, but I'm very curious about that. So
he doesn't even get a speaking line, and as if it's the person I think you're talking about,
the person who shows up at the very end of the movie.
Okay, yeah, then I know who you're talking about. We get to see this person. They never speak or have a line of dialogue their own. We do get to hear them via other means, but it's not exactly their voice, if you can understand that vaguely.
No, I get you. So that sounds about right.
We never get to see that person be the character. We never get to see them act like it. So I have no idea if that person can pull off that character, because I never actually got to see them act like it.
Yeah. Oh, and cool. I noticed. Sorry, I'm just looking at the cast listings here. Jeff Fahey's in this, who worked with Robert Rodriguez in everything. And
you'll like him. He's got a fun part.
And Derek Mears is in this as Romo, the the guy who plays Jason in all the Friday 13th movies.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I'm it's cool. He's picked a good group of character actors to fill the rest of the cast. It feels like so.
Mm-hmm. No, I think my favorite part of this movie was
Casper Van Dien has a cameo in this.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
And yeah, I just thought I liked the movie overall. It was interesting. I thought going in this movie might be kind of. I thought a movie might be kind of light on story, and it was actually there's just oh, that's strange. It's with the first James Cameron movie where I'm there's a little too much going on here.
I want this to be a sequel, not Avatar.
Mm-hmm. Right? If anything deserves 4 movies, this feels like it deserves a couple more movies to flesh out stuff. But. Yeah, I'm curious as while we're on the subject of James Cameron. Justin, what would you say is your favorite James Cameron movie? I'm curious.
I haven't seen all James Cameron's films.
Of the ones you've seen, then.
I would probably just say Terminator 2. Because Titanic is a amazingly made movie that also has a really bad script. And I kind of feel the same way with Avatar, where it's their weakest point is the actual writing of the characters and dialogue. But in terms of movie making, he's unparalleled in a lot of ways. So, right. But I would say Terminator 2 is probably where his storytelling as an efficient storyteller is probably at his best.
Mm-hmm. See, I feel the same way about Titanic, which I rewatched a couple years back. And I was like, you know what? If they had tightened this up and made this 2 hours, I feel like this could be actually a badass movie. Like,
well, because that whole sinking sequence at the end is amazing. Like, just on a filmmaking level.
right. And even the love story isn't that bad. It's just there's a lot of other stuff. Like, there's a lot of
It's all the stuff
sub-characters.
with Billy Zane. You know, that's the
Billy
biggest
Zane is like, okay, why didn't we just cast Yosemite Sam in Billy Zane's role? Because he's so cartoonishly evil. Like, what's weird about Billy Zane in that movie is he's so from a different movie. Like, he's not in the same movie that everyone else is in. Like,
No. You know what? Actually,
he's
no,
in a
I
Dick
take
Dastardly cartoon. I don't understand what's happening.
He is. You know what? I take that back. Aliens is the best movie I think I've seen of James Cameron.
Yeah,
Ooh.
I'd probably choose that one.
See, that one
too.
was mine too. Although I have
Yeah, because that's the thing is like Terminator 2, I'm like, okay, Terminator 2 is good. It's like, oh yeah, he did direct Aliens. That's, I just forgot. I'm like, oh yeah, no, absolutely.
Although I do have a weakness for Piranha 2, The Spawning. Which James Cameron has gone on to say when he was asked about it, it's the best movie with flying piranha in it.
That is true.
Fair.
That is
Are you
a
sure your
fact.
favorite isn't Avatar 2 coming in 2020, Avatar 3 in 2021, Avatar 4 in 2024, or Avatar 5 in 2025?
You know, James Cameron is so... I find him interesting in the fact that he doesn't really... For franchises to commit to, Avatar's the thing he's committed? Really, Avatar.
Well,
when you
also,
think
that
about it,
movie
too,
came
is
out a decade ago. Like, by the time the first sequel's coming out, no one's gonna fucking remember
No
it.
one cares about that. It made so... It's the biggest movie in the world that has made the most little amount of impact on pop culture.
Right?
I mean, unless he does something innovative with technology that we've never seen before, like the first movie did. But even then, when you think about it too, he's only made so many movies. I mean, if you just count it up, like what? Terminator,
Because
Aliens,
he takes so
The
much time
Abyss.
doing them.
Well, he's kind of a perfectionist. Like,
Oh yeah, because I mean, like he took a 12-year gap between Titanic and Avatar to do pretty much. He did a documentary between that and then some TV episodes, and then after Avatar, he collaborated on one movie as a consulting director, and that's it. So, yeah,
Yeah, I think that with Cameron, I feel like he needs. If I were to critique him at all, I feel like he needs an editor or someone to tell him where to cut stuff.
You just need someone to like hold him and be like, no, bad. No.
Well, that's what sucks about what Justin was saying about Terminator 2 and Aliens is those films are not only great visuals films, they're so well paced.
yeah.
They fly. Like by the
And
time
also, when you think Aliens has great dialogue too and story writing. Like there's so
yeah.
many
We quote-
quotable lines from those.
of
movies.
course you quote Aliens all the time. Like it's just like we just like god damn I love the core. every meal a feast. Every paycheck a
Marines,
fortune.
we are leaving.
Marines, we are leaving. Like to keep this for close encounters. Like it's almost every line in that movie is so quotable because like it's great.
Man.
Game over. Bill Paxton. Everything Bill Paxton
basically
says.
his whole character.
Bill Paxton that might be my favorite Bill Paxton performance ever, which is saying something because Bill Paxton
in a
has
lot,
great
yeah.
performances.
Oh yeah,
But-
no, and also the most single awesome line that Sigourney Weaver's ever said when she fights the alien,
Get
the
away
alien
from
queen.
her,
Yo,
you
get away
bitch!
from her. Yeah, exactly.
The point where you can't get away from anything without people parodying that line. Has anyone parodied anything from Avatar ever?
You can't remember a line
I mean,
from Avatar.
yes, but not well.
Other than Future Man that did a whole Sigourney thing.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
But that's
other
just mocking
than
it.
Gulliver's Travels, where they had a giant Avatar, wank moment there, kind of thing, or you're just like, okay, this is horrible.
So that's like that was I think Justin's onto something here. Was something fell apart in the screen the screenwriting from that because even Sigourney Weaver doesn't really have any memorable lines in that.
No. Like, you remember
Well, 'cause
she's
the thing
in
is,
it.
they try to
The
sell
only
her as, like,
memorable
oh, she's
lines
so-
are from Stephen Lang, and his lines are gobbledygook. You only
Yeah, but that's
remember
the thing.
them
It's like
Because they're
Sigourney Weaver.
gobbledygook.
They tried to sell her as like, oh, she's the tough character. She's a tough mama. You don't want to cross her, and she proceeds to do absolutely nothing tough in the movie. It's like, why did we even cast her in this role? Because other than she likes working with James Cameron.
Oh, also James and Robert Rodriguez. I get that you like casting Michelle Rodriguez in your movies. Could you have her do stuff?
Well, that's the thing. Is like Michelle Rodriguez has it in her to be a good actor. It's just
I've seen her be a great actor.
yeah,
I've seen
but
Girl
nobody
Fight.
knows what to do with her. Yeah.
But like they give her like the tough girl role, like oh you're the Marine, and like but they don't even give her that much of a story. Like you have to learn, like even in Avatar, there's a straight up story of like her learning to ignore her orders or something like that. But she just does it for no reason.
Yeah,
and
she
then just
dies from it.
dies.
So, yeah, nothing. She doesn't learn anything from the story.
And I was like, dude, like, out of the 3 hours we were sitting here, why didn't she get some dialogue explaining why she might have a conflict about this? Like, why she might have conflicting feelings of, like, where her loyalties lie. Like, that's easy. That's right there. Like,
Well, then also, okay, so, sorry, go ahead.
No, you go, Justin.
Well, I was just going to say, too, on this point that we talked about James Cameron, since he's actually not the director of this movie, what would you say is your favorite Robert Rodriguez movie?
Okay, so I will die on the hill that I think Predators is a pretty good movie. I actually really like Predators.
I've actually never seen it, so I'll take your
Oh,
word
really?
for that one.
Yeah. You know, it's basically trying to recapture the majesty of Predator again, but with a couple twists in it. And I thought it was a little nasty sci-fi film that was really cool. But as far as favorite one goes, I would have to say that I really liked Desperado. That I feel like Desperado was the movie that Robert Rodriguez always, as a child, wanted to see, and like he wanted it in his mind. Like, if I could make a movie, that's what I'd make. And I feel that when I watch it. And
so then Desperado, though, it's a remake of El Mariachi, which, have you seen that one? Or
I don't think I've seen El Mariachi. So
yeah, because that's the thing is, like, people go back and forth on whether they like El Mariachi or Desperado, because they're literally the same film, just Desperado has much more money than El Mariachi did. So
right. And that's what I liked about Desperado is it's kind of it's a B movie with but more money that should ever be spent on it. And I'm like, that's cool. But then that kind of became Robert Rodriguez's thing.
Right.
Well, that's what he did all the time now. It's like, yeah, all I need to do is just spend just enough money so I can get cool shots, and then it doesn't matter what else we do in it. So
right, and that led to stuff like Machete and Planet Terror.
Once Upon a Time in Mexico.
Yeah, and you're like, no, like, the cool thing was that it was kind of like a joke that you were having like this big budgeted B movie. Like, that was the thing. And now, like, it feels weird. Like, I'm making trash on purpose.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, it was kind of more fun.
It's unironic then.
Yeah.
Well, that's why I say that my favorite Rodriguez film is Sin City. Because, I mean, one, I haven't seen all of Rodriguez's works, but two, that's him actually taking the property serious for a change. Where it's like, see, this is what you can do if you actually focus. And I feel like that's why it makes Alita better. It's like, yeah, someone like James Cameron had to kind of sit Rodriguez down. It's like, you're the director. You're not having a laugh with this. This is an actual movie that costs money. You know?
Robert Rodriguez has a good eye. I like his visual composition. I like how he lays out shots.
Yeah, apparently he's unparalleled when it comes to knowing how lighting works in his shots. Like, that's one of his big strengths as a filmmaker.
Oh, sure. Like,
that was an important skill.
That's that whole thing in Desperado when Steve Buscemi is telling the story about Antonio Banderas, and he's like, it's like the light bended for him as he walks through, and you don't ever see Antonio Banderas' face because the lighting was made it so where it kind of almost just does it, and then another shadow will take it. And I'm like, man, that's such a cool shot. Like, that's such a fucking Clint Eastwood fucking Man with No Name fucking, like, you know, gritty, like, Django Western shot. And, like, it's just cool, but I never saw anything like that before, but yet it's kind of retro. Like, and that's why I say Sin City is definitely probably a better movie than Desperado, but I feel like Desperado is more of a Robert Rodriguez movie than Sin City is. And
oh, sure. Well, that's the thing. I think, yeah, like, best and favorite, I think, is a distinction there, because I only say favorite because I've only seen so many Robert Rodriguez films, but if I saw El Mariachi or Desperado, I'd probably say maybe that's more fun than Sin City.
Also, like, Desperado was like one of those things where I first got introduced to Salma Hayek, and I was like, holy shit. Also, Danny Trejo, when I early saw him, I was like, who is this badass?
When their lifelong infatuation just started. Like, even, he's in most of the Spy Kids movies, dang it.
Yep.
Right? I don't know. Personally, I do like From Dusk Till Dawn.
You do?
Yeah.
Have you actually ever watched the whole thing?
Yeah, you showed me it.
Oh, okay.
I'm almost positive.
See, I really like the first half of Dusk Till Dawn.
Yeah.
And then I really like the second half of Dusk Till Dawn.
But they're completely different movies.
But I don't like them together.
Yeah. But it's one of those movies that, like, this is really fucking weird and kind of dumb, but it's almost, like, entertaining because of it.
Well, that's the joke of it, is that, like, it starts as one movie and then becomes a completely different movie. And I get that.
But the problem is that the first movie looks like it's gonna be really good for what it's doing.
Right. Like, and that's my only thing is that I'm like, oh, I kind of was liking the movie I was watching. And it's not like this movie is bad or anything, but it's just completely different than the thing I was watching. It's like someone changed the channel in between the movie, and I was I was like, hey, I was watching that. Like,
You know, it's funny because I remember I caught From Dusk Till Dawn on TV. I didn't watch the whole thing, but I think I saw the moment where it pivoted. Because, yeah, in the beginning you see, you know, George Clooney and Quentin Tarantino interacting and doing this stuff. And then there's that scene, I think, where the vampires meet that group of teenagers at the campfire or whatever, and they drive a hand through the chest of one of them. And you're like, wow, this changed all of a sudden. You know?
Oh, no, I don't know if that's the same one, because the only
Maybe that's a
transformations
different
I ever
movie.
see are in the bar.
Yeah.
Oh, right. So maybe that's a different movie. But I mean, I can tell it's like, yeah, you can have that moment you're like, wait, when did this happen? kind of thing.
Yeah, and and I'm down for Splatterfest too.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's not that. It was just like if someone were to change the channel, and like if my dad was going to change the channel during the movie I was watching, it doesn't matter what he changes the channel to. I'm a little pissed that he changed it to something that I wasn't watching. You know?
Yeah. So,
But yeah.
but in the end, though, so I mean, I do have to get going soon to be able to leave. But so if you were to say like, what's your overall like final impression? Like, would you say like you recommend Alita? Do you think it's actually worth watching? Is it
That's where I struggle with it. Is that I can't fault you if you come away with it and you say like that was narratively confusing and I wasn't a huge fan of it. I totally do get it. I found it interesting in the fact that it was so different than what I expected.
I kind of went into having like zero expectations because this movie has been coming out for so long. I started to train myself to ignore it. Mm-hmm. That I'm like, I was basically going into this like, well, I don't care about this, so whatever it does, it does.
It has me interested in a sequel. I will go see the sequel for this just because I'm curious how they work this now that they've done these two stories together, how they're going to make the next installment. So if that's worth anything, it's made me interested in the world enough that I am interested in the sequel of this movie. But as far as is it necessary for like pop culture? Like, is everyone going to be talking about this movie? Should you go out and see it like a zeitgeist? Probably. You can skip this one, and I don't think it would be that much of a difference to you.
Yeah.
I feel like I would rent it on Blu-ray or but buy it used more than actually run it to the theaters.
I'll tell you what. If you Redbox this movie, I bet you have a blast with it. You'll have a different set of expectations. If you stream this movie or something like that, paying full price at a theater might change your opinion on it. Honestly. So for me, it's hard. It's hard because it's almost there. Mm-hmm. It's just so almost there.
They needed a third person to kind of reel them both in. Be like, okay, we're going to stop this now.
All right, Michael Bay, get in there. Oh, come on!
No, because then just everything would explode at the end.
God damn it!
I mean, Rodriguez already has a fascination with explosions as it is. Then you get Michael Bay and him together, you're just like, oh no.
No, but I struggle with it. I would say that if you are at all curious, definitely give it. It's an interesting movie. You won't come away without. It's not boring. I don't think it's boring. So there's that. I'll give it an average, like 3 out of 5. 3 out of 5. Hard for me to rate, but like overall, I think you don't come away super pissed. You just come away with like a little disappointment of what could have been.
Yeah, I basically agree on the same thing. I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10, which might be a little high for me. Mm-hmm. But it's not like I liked the movie. I did enjoy watching it. It's just like, but I can see where you went wrong.
Well, and that
you just struggle to find a reason to recommend it per se. Then, right?
Yeah. Well, after when it hits the 2 hour and 10 minute mark, and you realize that like I'm doing the math in my head, and I have 20 minutes left of this movie,
yeah.
I'm like, oh god, I wish they would have split this.
Yep.
I
Like,
hate
wish
that
this
feeling
movie
where you're
ended
like,
now.
I know the runtime of this film, and I know what they have to do left to resolve the story.
Anyone who's gone to see movies enough, you will develop an internal clock where you will be sitting there and you'll realize I've been sitting here for 90 minutes and I've done the math here and we have a whole third act to get to at least.
Oh, I don't need an internal clock. I just wait for you to go to the bathroom.
So I'm in this for 20 to 30 minutes more. Like, and like, yeah, like you just, and that's a hard thing when you reach that point and you're kind of like, okay, I guess I got to get through this. But yeah, thanks for joining us, Justin.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you very much. It's been a while since we've done this, so it's nice. We got such a substantial recording.
Of course. Well, we got more out of those trailers than I thought, so. And it was nice talking some Cameron and Rodriguez with you. That was cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
We'll have to bring you on for another collaboration. Hopefully some new guys will put together. I think Michael Bay and, Christopher Nolan could make an interesting pairing of just like, I'm just curious, like what we could combine directors and
Just
see
mix
what
and
kind of
match.
movie they make.
Cherry
Dude,
pick?
Christopher Nolan and Michael Bay would be interesting where it's like, we're only going to do practical work. Yes, practical, very big explosions. You know?
I mean, would you not see it, Justin? I mean, I feel like I could not see that movie. Like,
You know, that's the one thing. I actually watched a video the other day where someone ranked unrealistic explosions in terms of slight plausibility. And somehow Michael Bay actually ranked higher up on the plausible loud explosions. It's like, yeah, the physics don't make sense,
with
but
them.
yeah, it's like, yeah, the physics don't work, but how he makes them like happen actually is like slightly plausible in certain degrees. So you're just like, okay, I did not expect that with Michael Bay.
okay, so you've you've used Michael Bay and plausible in the same sentence multiple times now. So
Let's say
that's
mildly
shocking
plausible. Mildly plausible at
Even
best.
no matter what version of plausible you said, that is a weird thing for me to hear. Okay, it doesn't sound right on the ears, is what I'm saying. You know what does sound right on the ears, Justin? All the podcasts that you're involved in. Would you like to tell the people where they can listen to those?
Yes, you can find me on oneofus.net. I write the notes for our, as we've mentioned before, the newscast, The Breakfast Pub that we do for subscribers. At $2 a month, you get this special podcast along with a bunch of other content you can get there, where we just cover the weekly news stories for news and trailers and other stuff. You can find me also doing the Screener Squad, where we do straight-to-video and limited release movies. We actually just got a bunch of stuff lately that we're really excited to talk about, including some documentaries from Sundance, which I'm like, ooh. You know, because, what was it? That freaking Michael Jackson documentary everyone's talking about. We got a screener for that. So, we also do the Gotham podcast with Nick and Travis, where we review every episode of the last season of Gotham, and I'm having a lot of fun on it, even with Alan being the killjoy. It's like, it actually adds a nice dynamic to the way that we're talking about the show.
Dude, I actually, I was going to compliment you. I listened to the last episode of episode 5 because we had such a great time on it, and I wanted to, like, man, I felt like I went super nuts on that episode.
You did.
And I wanted to hear back of like what it sounded like. And, it was really great. I liked the audio quality of it was real good.
I had to edit that one hardcore because my audio levels were all mixed up. But yeah, no, it was really fun to edit that.
It made me want to go back and listen to the other ones and be like, if they were all that crazy or whatnot.
Wait,
but
did you add the Immaculate Conception theory in?
I don't think so.
No, that one I couldn't find the right place to put that.
We'll bring it up next
that theory
time.
got. Yeah, no, and also I think I stopped my recording at that point. But also, last one, Eye on the Prize, our Oscar podcast. I mean, you know, we're going to start winding up that podcast for the year because it's next weekend when the show happens. So it's like, yeah, we'll have one more show this week and then one more show next week, and that'll be it for the season. So.
Fantastic. Oh, also for Final Days of Gotham, as of listening to the last one, I do feel like we're winning over Alan. We're breaking him down. I could tell during the
You hear it too, right? You can hear him slowly
I hear his
liking
spirit breaking. I hear it. We've almost got him.
I watch movies with him sometimes on Saturdays because we have our after hours movie nights that we do for our other show, and you can hear him he's like, no, Gotham's still trash. I still just watch it just because I'm on the podcast. I'm like, you're such a liar. You're starting to like it more.
Come on, he's 5 seasons in. If he hasn't succumbed to Stockholm Syndrome now, it's just around the corner.
Or if nothing else, he'll go into withdrawals once it actually ends.
I didn't know I needed it that bad.
For people listening, I mean, for the Gotham podcast, we're still working on it to get Chris Cox on for the final episode to discuss the entire show. So I'll shoot him a message after this podcast and see if we can coordinate that. So
cool. All right. Well, thanks guys for listening. You can also check out our previous, recordings with Justin from way back from the UGO podcast on our iTunes and Stitcher feeds. Subscribe to us to either of those or give us reviews. Those are also helpful. You can also check out many of Justin's, reviews on Netflix and Kill. Most recent one being Hardcore Henry. We've done all the Gotham seasons 1 through 4 on there too. Real fun.
Which actually, I've been posting links to all the Gotham seasons on our pages at One of Us, and it's been boosting the numbers up a little bit too. So I'm like, yay, more people hear our thoughts. So.
Great. Well, that's fantastic. Thank you so much. That's great. Also good idea. Since it's kind of weird to just hear our giant thoughts about the season 5 when we've been talking about it for so long.
Right.
Give people a chance to condense of how we feel about the show overall. Before we just were madly in love with it and we couldn't say anything bad about it anymore. But
we can still say bad things. We just
don't care.
We just learn to accept it.
It's kind of I mean, at this point, you're just along for the ride. What's it matter if I'm on fire? I'm already on a waterfall going off. It doesn't really matter.
The soothsayers. Fine, sure, whatever. We'll go with them.
What about the Whisper Gang? Who remembers those guys? No one does. But, yes, thank you guys for listening. Until next week, we're going to Apology Week Out, and we're out.